Having watched quite a few other best and worst lists, I feel like I'm one of the only people that actually enjoyed 2018 hit music. We saw music evolve through the rise of rappers like Juice WRLD, Lil Baby and Lil Skies. We saw great improvements from industry stalwarts like Travis Scott and Kanye. And while Spotify's preference of streaming meant that album bombs were essentially a weekly occurrence, it also meant that artists like Childish Gambino and XXXTentacion were able to grab the #1 spot for a couple of weeks, interrupting Drake's reign of 28 weeks at #1. In spite of that, there was a lot of great hit music this year. There was also a lot of shit. The flip side of giving a lot of chart power to Spotify was that a lot of boring, monotonous, droning garbage made its way really quite high on the charts. A whole spectrum of terrible people was shown this year. Wailing 12-year-old girls, edgy 15-year-old boys, nostalgic dads, people who will blindly follow what an artist does, and boring people. Just a lot of boring people out there. Let's get started with number 10, and ooh boy, we are starting strong. Considering I've been learning Spanish for the last 4 years, you might think I've got a soft spot for Spanish music. You know, it's something I can relate to and have a personal connection with, and yeah, that's true. To a certain extent. I don't hate GJ Snake. Let Me Love You was a banger, and Middle was still decent even though it was trend hopping and didn't really understand what a drop was. You know what I do hate? Ozuna. I just don't get how people can listen to him. It's not like he hasn't been vocally trained or he just can't sing. His voice just has a horrible, whiny quality. That's not his fault, but that doesn't mean we should give him a whole career's worth of pity. Then you throw in Snake's painfully weak production with the same kind of nonsensical melody as a key, so Mi Gente. God, I hate Mi Gente. Cardi B is a non-presence until she starts speaking Spanish, and it really is interesting how she is worse in her native language. And how many times do we have to tell Selena Gomez that she is just not a sex icon? She tries to make her voice so sensual and seductive, but come on babes, you're the same person who made this. You're not fooling anyone. What does tacky tacky even mean, for Christ's... Oh. Well, that's a bit modern. Who knew diss tracks could be so boring? I'm upset. 50,000 on my head is disrespect. So offended that I had to double check. Okay, so it's not a full-on diss track, but he's talking about paying alimony for his own son to an ex-lover, something I would imagine he's quite passionate about. And the most energy that he can muster is... 100,000 on my head is disrespect. So offended that I had to double check. He could be talking about fucking dishwashers for all I know. The lack of emotion is astounding. And that's without talking about the production. I don't think you could find a wetter beat. The piano line, the hi-hats, the cymbal, everything is just so pathetic. And is that a police siren? No. You want to hear a real police siren? Everyone who made this needs to grow some balls and actually put some effort into a song that's released as a single off of the biggest album of the year. I'm not going to hold shit back for suspense. This isn't the last time we're seeing Drake. I really like Marshmello. He makes fun, bubbly EDM that's great to work to, dance to, and while I admit he's a bit repetitive, it just means that he has a consistent style and sound that's instantly recognisable. And it's because I like him so much that it really pisses me off when he goes and pulls something like this. On paper, this really should work for me. You've got Marshmello, an acoustic guitar, and a British artist. But then Marshmello's production lacks any quality. And then the guitar line's shit. And then the artist is fucking Anne-Marie. I've got a real problem with this girl. We've got so many great young female British singers. We've got Ella Eyre, we've got Charlie XCX, we've got Becky Hill, we've even got Clean Bandit. And yet the one who gets to break America is the B-Tech Adele, who couldn't sing a normal note if she tried. The song is just all wrong. The bass notes on the chorus clash with Anne-Marie's voice and the guitar horribly. Everything is just totally uninspired. Funnily enough, I don't actually have a problem with the lyrics. However cringy it is that they're trying to style this as some kind of anthem, I think that it's good that we've got a counter to the endless, pathetic ballads about rejection. It's just a shame that it had to come from this girl, who looks like she'd bully me in school. Some of you might get a bit pissy with this choice because it came out in March of 2017, but it officially left the charts in October of 2018, so I'd say that justifies it for this list. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the best-selling British artist of the decade. There aren't many songs I actively can't listen to, but when that droning synth starts up, I just groan. I just can't do it. I'll give this song one thing. The chorus isn't too bad. It has a couple of interesting elements and it has some kind of tempo, but then it just goes back to plodding garbage that sounds like a Christmas song flatlined. And lyrics-wise, it's what you'd get if you put 100 years of mindless love songs into an inane robot. And that bit just gives off a little bit of a weird vibe. This isn't even talking about the Beyonce remix, because my god. I'm actually not a big fan of Beyonce. Everyone seems to give her a pass because she's the only successful one from Destiny's Child, but she keeps on pulling shit like this. I just don't get why she's popular. The only reason this isn't high is because I can't muster up any more energy to hate it. Insert very funny joke about how this song is meant to be here. Ha 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 ha. Comedy. From what I've seen, people seem to be quite annoyed that this is now the best-selling country song of all time, but you know what? You deserve it. If America is going to keep listening to hundreds of clones saying the same boring bullshit over a guitar, then you can line your bed of Bebe Rexha and Florida fucking Georgia Line. What else is there to say about this song that hasn't been said a million times before? The piano line gets dull after the fourth bar, it moves at a snail's pace in every sense, and the vocalists, if I can call them that, are horrific. Bebe Rexha reminds me of that girl at school who really thinks she can sing, you know, has a YouTube channel and all, thinks Broadway is minutes away, but just no one has the heart to tell her and everyone just kind of accepts her presence. And yet still, somehow, she's managed to turn it into a cross-genre career. Even though she can't sing. Even though I keep giving him shit, the one thing I can fall at Drake's feet for is that he stopped this from getting to #1. Because if these dickweeds had the biggest song in America, I might have just broken. Just stopped. If I don't like a song, I usually find quality in it if it's played enough to me, kind of like a reverse overplay. Take Sicko Mode for example. At first I didn't really listen to it, I didn't really get it, and so I kind of just gave up on it. Then it got really popular, I was forced to listen to it some more, and now I really like it. So when I hear a song pretty much once a week for 6 months, and I still hate it, I know pretty definitively that it's shit.
Brand new whip, got no keys. Tell my clothes, no starch, please. Soon as I nut, you can go leave. Got M's in the bank, like yes, indeed.
If you've watched any of my previous videos, there's a decent chance this song was in it, because although it never really made a run for #1, it's kind of been hanging around that number 15 spot like an inoperable tumour. Production-wise, it's just a flimsy synth wobbling over the most basic trap beat FL Studio can buy. It just all feels so effortless, and I do not mean that in a good way. Both rappers' flows are monotonous and boring and do absolutely nothing with the beat. The song also fits every rap checklist in the book, talking about how they're going crazy, check. Talking about how they've got millions in the bank, check. Making a Pikachu reference, good lord. It's a check. Even little things like this was the only song in the top 20 without a music video. I genuinely don't think the people who made it expected to be a hit, so when it did become one, they just kind of went along with it. Lil Baby is one of my least favourite artists of the year. Everything he does is just completely indistinguishable. I don't know why everyone's okay with him and Gunna having actual careers. This one's a bit different. On its own, it's an okay song. You know, not anything too special, but not making any worse lists. But then there's the context around it. And oh boy! Yeah, when you're pissing on the grave of one of the most beloved songs of all time, I might find you a little bit detestable. Toto's Africa is probably my favourite 80s song of all time. Mysterious and charming atmosphere that it opens with, growing through the expansive verses into an absolute powerhouse of a chorus that could light up any party in the world. Its longevity is just proof of its quality. So if you're Weezer, one of the more successful grunge alt-rock bands, you might fancy your chances tackling such a beast. Especially if you're a 48-year-old man who still thinks he's a bastion of popular culture. Seeing a fan making a joke Twitter account might make you think, yeah, this is my chance to become cool and hip again. So, what do they do with this song? What new spin do they put on it? So first, right, they take all the mystery and suspense, and they chuck it in the bin. Then, they take the powerful vocals and chords, and they chuck them in the bin. Then, finally, just when you think they can't do any more, they take the pounding chorus, and they chuck it in the fucking bin. There's so much wrong with this cover. The opening drum set completely the wrong tone. Rivers Cuomo's voice is just so disinterested and has absolutely no charm whatsoever. And the guitars of the chorus, they're just so watery and messy that it ruins any kind of drive that the song has. And you want to know the worst part? It actually fucking worked. This song spent 15 weeks on the Hot 100 and peaked at number 2 on the rock charts. People listened to this song. People kept listening to this song. And I am certain it's just because people aren't listening to the original. It's such a tragic bastardisation that I just can't believe people prefer this. They just can't. Toto are American as well, so I can't even blame it on racism. I don't know that much about the science of music. Like, I know that fifth sounds good to the human ear, and that discords resolving is satisfying and cathartic and all, but I don't know that much about how it all actually works. And what makes it even more confusing is when there are songs that just don't sound nice. The sound that it makes is literally just unpleasant, and yet it still hits the top 10. Like, is it me? No. I'm a music critic. Everyone else is the stupid one. Everything about this song is just a bit off. The opening synths do not complement each other well. Camilla's melody is basic and boring, and yet still really quite original in how shit it is. Then you get to the pre-chorus. That's not nice. That's really not nice at all. It's got like raspiness, but not like a sensual jazz singer from the 20s raspiness, like an 8-year-old girl who's lost her voice. God, it's bad. Well, at least it can't get any worse than this. Excuse me, what the fuck? Her voice just like isn't nice, like the quality is just so harsh and whiny, like ugh, how do people get through this song? Her harmonies make it worse. She wails and wobbles so much it's practically discordant. And when we get to the ad-libs on the final chorus, like, oh my god, they're just so awful, I can't be arsed. Why did Camilla have to be the successful one from Fifth Harmony? Why do so many female singers get a pass these days? Can I do another best list? I'm just feeling quite depressed right now. Never Be the Same may be a horrific, worthless piece of trash, but at least she tried.
Look, hey, I'm a bar spitter, I'm a hard hitter. Yeah, I'm light-skinned, but I'm still a...
I firmly believe that this song was not meant to be listened to. The only reason this charted higher than anything else off of Scorpion was because it was the opening track and everyone had turned off by Mob Ties. But instead of falling off like everything else did, it stayed up there. For 22 weeks. For 22 weeks, this song was part of the cultural mainstream. This song, with an 808 line that could be discovered by a 5-year-old, pathetic hi-hats and claps, and Drake trying to sound hard, will be how 2018 music is seen in the future. That's just so tragic. I'm sorry, but how is anyone taking this seriously? Drake is a Canadian child star. He's middle class. His name is Aubrey. How is anyone buying his hard man pretense? It's just so cringe. What annoys me most is that Drake really has talent. If you're reading this, It's Too Late was one of 2015's best mixtapes, and Know Yourself was an utter banger, and now he becomes the most popular artist in the world off of this shit. I mean, where's the justice? Good Christ. I mean, musically, this is the worst song of the year. But no. There's something else I need to talk about. Something that affects me. Something that I disagree with on a musical and a moral level. That being my honourable mentions. Way! For 7 minutes of boredom. Once again, Ozuna is the worst thing by far. Pink just needs to stop. Someone around her needs to just take her aside and put her in the old folks' home where she belongs. Imagine bagging Drake as a feature and still not getting a top 20 hit. I'm sorry, French Montana. You can give up now. You're not getting another Unforgettable.
I drink till I'm drunk, smoke till I'm high, castle on the hill, wake up in the sky, you can't tell me I ain't...
I'm still convinced Bruno was held hostage for this. I can't believe he possibly agreed to it.
We're just holding it down here in BFE, still rolling around with a bar seat.
A garbage year for a garbage genre. Come at me.
She can get a taste. She can get a taste.
Yeah, I know this was on my honourable mentions list for my best list. That doesn't mean it can't be here. In fact, I think it justifies its position here even more.
Cause girls like you run around with guys like me till sundown. When I come through, I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah.
We had Drake atop the Hot 100 for an entire season of the year, and he gets replaced by this. I'd happily have him back, to be honest. I know it's a meme and a kid song, but good lord, this annoys me.
I woke up in Chris Brown's body. So how this shit turned into Freaky Friday.
Yeah, the novelty of this song has worn off of me, and now it's just a bit tragic. Especially that bit. You can just tell Chris Brown is a prize cunt. Jerky, awkward, and a waste of EDM talent.
Pussy got that wet, wet, got that drip, drip, got that super soak. I hit that, she a Fifi, honey, Kiki, she eat my dick like it's...
My honorary number 11. It's the beat that saves it, because the artists are just such dog shite. This may seem like a totally irrelevant tangent, but stick with me here. I'm a bit of a theatre boy, and recently I went to see a play called The Watsons. It was written by this playwright called Laura Wade. She'd written this play called Posh as well, which is brilliant. And what she'd done, she'd taken an old, unfinished Jane Austen novel, and she sort of brought it up to modern times using modern language, but still keeping with the original story. It was really great, yeah. It blended eras really well. It was fast, slick, witty, and it just totally captivated me. When I left, I just thought, wow, that's a really great example of how to use a deceased artist's work. Yeah. And then I thought, I think that reminds me of someone. One positive actually waiting until the end of the year to do my list, all you critics who do yours in November, is that I can include songs that were released in December. And what do you know, in December we got a rather anticipated album. I'm not going to go into the politics of X's death. Yeah, he might have been a bad person and he might have been an abuser, I don't know. All I know is that a 20-year-old who was trying to change, trying to turn his life around, had his life cut short. That is indisputably tragic, and the absolute ghoul of his record label to try and capitalise off of his death is just appalling. X was his own artist with his own artistic vision, and it's just clear that his label saw the money waiting in his unfinished work. Things like Falling Down and Arms Around You aren't great, but they've got other artists to back them up. The complete lack of respect for X is shown best by his posthumous full-length album, Skins. The thing is that these songs aren't awful, some are better than others, but none of them are terrible. What really pisses me off is X's voice in these tracks. He just sounds so distant, it's as if he's like 8 metres away from the mic. It's so obvious that his label have just cobbled together random little snippets of his work and trying to make a coherent album. It's just disgusting. Even like the heavy death metal shit, Jasta just doesn't sound fully there. It sounds like voice notes. He sounds so vague and clouded in contrast with the such distinct production. Fucking hell, the interlude sounds like it was just recorded in some room without X even knowing. The least respect you can give to a dead man is to respect their artistry, because no one can replicate it, especially in this case with X's total idiosyncrasy. If you want a deeper look into how special a person X was artistically, I'd recommend Mr. Amazing's video on it, it's really great. And the worst part is, I actually liked quite a few songs off of Skins. What Are You So Afraid Of is a great closer, and Woe has such an immense atmosphere, it's just so eerie with its marimbas. And so just imagine what these songs would have been like if X was actually there to make them. So fuck Bad Vibes Forever, fuck Caroline, fuck Empire, and fuck Capital. They're scum who lack any integrity or empathy. See you all soon maybe with another Hot 100 reggae. I might do the year end list, I don't fucking know, I just know this has pissed me the fuck off. So just like, subscribe, and peace.